Welcome back to Chow Time Pod. It's your host, Red. I got a video today from Alexander Grace. Women, when they try to shame us, calling us sexist and misogynist, how many of us fold when they say that and start defending ourselves? Instead, we should be embracing it and just saying, yeah, okay, so I'm a sexist. I'll accept that. But what about the question? What about the answer to this question? And move on and, keep prying with them. A lot of us, I'm sure, after that particular statement, we kind of start defending ourselves and start backtracking and trying to make it so that we seem like we're not, but it doesn't really matter. They're using it just to end the conversation. So please subscribe down below. I really appreciate that. Let's get to that chow time.
Women often talk about hormones influencing their emotions and behavior. Why are there some women who shame men for being horny when testosterone is a male hormone?
These interview questions seem super sexist, and I'm not going to continue this. Thanks so much, though.
Doesn't it go both ways, though?
It seem all pretty sexist. That's okay, though. Thank you so much.
I have a confession and an accusation to make. First, my confession. I am a sexist.
I
my
am
accusation.
too.
You watching this right now, you are a misogynist. The fact that you can't admit that you're a misogynist is a big problem. Stop waiting for the punchline. I'm being dead serious. Now, I'm guessing a few of you have already understood the point that I'm making here, and if you haven't, keep watching. I like the word sexist. I use it a lot. I use it against men when appropriate, and also against women when calling out their points of view as being sexist. The reason why I like calling women sexist is because it provokes conversation. If a woman ever says something like, oh, it's completely up to a woman whether or not she gets an abortion, a man shouldn't have a say in that matter, or it's pathetic when men care about a woman's body count, her sexual past is no one's business but her own, I say she's being sexist.
Yeah.
It stuns her. Women do not like being called sexist. So they panic. They want...
This is true. I've said it a couple times to some women, and they did what I said earlier. They started backtracking, trying to defend themselves, saying, I'm not sexist. This is just how I think, blah, blah, blah. And it really makes them put themselves on the defensive.
Want to keep talking. They're asking why. They're trying to justify themselves. And that's good. That's exactly where I want them to be. I want to use those stimulated and activated emotions to provoke an interest in the subject matter, which then I can use as an opportunity to educate them about the male point of view, about the male value system, and describe the unconscious bias that they are as women with their feminine value system displaying against men. But that's the difference between myself and women, because when I use the word sexist, when I call women and their points of view sexist, I'm doing that in order to provoke a conversation. But when women call men sexist, or the things that they're saying sexist, it's used to shut down a conversation.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier than having a nuanced discussion about the double standard applied to male and female emotions.
Shut it
Call
down.
the interviewer and the questions sexist. When you do that, you don't have to engage. You don't have to answer uncomfortable questions. You don't have to examine your own beliefs and values, check for any underlying biases or hypocrisies. You can just perform the virtue signal escape. I am up here and you are down here, you little sexist. I don't engage with the likes of you. I'm above all of that. It's so convenient, and it works in a lot of different contexts. You ask a question about immigration reform and the person says, I'm not answering that question. That question is racist. You want to talk about whether or not a gay
Damn, this is such a good topic right here with Alexander going over. It's right. A lot of modern people, nowadays, how they end conversations, how they don't want to talk about certain things is by calling each other racist, sexist, xenophobic, anti-trans, all these things, just because they don't want to talk or speak about these uncomfortable, topics.
Pride parade is an appropriate venue for children. But someone else says, I'm not going to talk about that. That whole discussion is homophobic. You want to discuss the issue of trans women competing in female sports, but someone says, no, I'm not going to talk about that with you. That's transphobic. And of course, any discussion that you want to have about the dating market or men's rights, no, I'm not talking to you about that. That's sexist. I'm not answering any of those questions just by asking them. You're being a misogynist. And here's where I might surprise you, because I don't blame women for trying to evade the tough questions using this get out of jail free card. Of course, they're going to throw the words sexist and misogynist around. It's a really good strategy for avoiding accountability.
It works on a lot of men. It worked on me in the beginning when I was kind of new to Red Pill, new to the manosphere. It would shut me down pretty quickly.
It's very effective. I don't blame women for noticing that. I mean, yeah, the lack of accountability means that they're low quality, but we have to expect that. Cowards are always going to be cowards. We saw plenty of examples of that in my course. But what pisses me off is how many men take the bait and fall into that frame. I get it. No one likes to be called a misogynist. Nobody wants to think of themselves as somebody who has a bias against women. Your self-perception, your self-image is not somebody who hates women or would discriminate against women. And so when somebody calls you a misogynist, you think, no, that's not me. I'm just asking questions. I'm trying to have like a nuanced discussion. I'm coming from a good place. You try and exonerate yourself. You try and prove your innocence. But here's the thing. So long as you continue to have an emotional objection to being called a sexist, this tactic from women is going to continue to work. They're going to continue to deflect the conversation, and it's your fault. You're letting it happen. Here's how it's going to go. You ask a woman, hey, do you think that it's reasonable that a man take into account how many sexual partners a woman's had when deciding whether or not to marry her? And she responds with, oh my God, what a sexist question. You are such a misogynist. And then because the label
I've literally had that happen.
scares you, you start defending yourself. No,
I've literally done that too.
that's not me. No, I love women. I completely support women's rights. Or you defend the question like, no, it's not sexist to ask this question. No, it's about like paternity certainty and just like a discussion of different values. I'm not being misogynistic because of this. But guess what? So long as she remains unconvinced, then she continues to set the frame of the conversation. You're not talking about the matter at hand. You're talking about whether or not you're a sexist.
Yeah.
She is in control and she has deemed you guilty, and you find yourself in the role of trying to prove your own innocence. It's a total disaster. It's pathetic, really. You've let her take control of the conversation, all because it hurt your feelings.
Nope, it's happened with me, like I said, quite a few times when I first got into the space and started dating and stuff. Women would fucking trump me with this, and I couldn't understand like why. But then as I watched more content, met some more people, you just embrace it. Anything that women accuse you of, oh, you're a cheater, just embrace it. Well, yeah, I'm a cheater. I got a couple girls lined up right now. You want to meet them? Just go about it. Whatever they accuse you of, accept it, and then like escalate it to another level. I learned that from one of my friends that I do bachata with, and it works really well. Once you accept their accusation of whatever it is, that's it. They've already lost. They don't even know what else to say or what else to counter with, because you accepted it. They hoped that once they say that, you're gonna stumble and like just defend yourself. And that conversation now, it's about you defending yourself.
Feelings to be called a misogynist, and you're so desperate to prove that you're not. It's a sign of very immature masculinity to still care that much what this person thinks about you. As a man, you need to have courage and conviction in your own beliefs. You have to expect that people are going to disagree with you based on what you believe and to insult you for that. That's normal. That's natural. That's going to happen. You need to make your peace. So let's try that conversation again from a stronger, more masculine place. You ask a woman, don't you think it's reasonable that a man takes into account, a woman's sexual history before marrying her? And she responds with, oh my God, what a sexist question. You're such a misogynist. Do not take the bait. You say, sure, okay, if that question makes me a sexist, I'm fine with that. So back to the matter. Do you think it's okay for men to take this into account? She says, but you're being such a misogynist. You can't ask those questions. You say, yeah, I don't mind. I'm fine being a misogynist, but I am really curious to hear your views on this. So what do you think? She will freak out. It didn't work. He doesn't mind being called a misogynist. I don't know what to do. And when you do this, when you see her flail about completely speechless, when you see how panicked she is by the fact that her insult didn't rock you, you're going to realize that the only power that she ever had over you was the power that you gave her. It is your virtue being used against you, because the label sexist or misogynist is only effective against a man who doesn't want to be labeled a sexist or a misogynist. If you remove your fear of that label, then you remove her power over you. Ultimately, it doesn't really...
This was actually a big thing with my ex-wife. She would always call me sexist because I never really found female comedians funny, and I never really enjoyed watching movies with the female main characters. It's just never enjoyable for me. So she always called me sexist because of this, and I would always defend myself. I would always be like, "No, I'm not sexist. I just don't really enjoy these things." She's like, "Well, you're sexist because you don't think women are good enough actors or whatever it is to be able to act, and that's why you don't want to watch their movies." And I'm just like, "No, the storylines have never been enjoyable for me," and I just keep defending myself, and really it just made me look more more sexist and racist, or more sexist than anything.
Really matter if deep down you think that you're a misogynist or not. The sexism of your beliefs is something for you to debate within the privacy of your own soul. What this is actually about is how deeply you are affected by the opinions of others, and whether or not you will abandon your values and beliefs in the face of criticism from others. That's not courage.
Yeah.
That's not masculinity. Because this is the wake-up call that so many men need to hear. It doesn't matter how nuanced you think your views are, how moderate you think that your values and your beliefs and your perspectives are. There's going to be some woman somewhere who thinks that you're a sexist.
Yep.
So what are you going to do when you encounter her? Are you going to trip over yourself, apologizing, trying to prove your innocence? Or are you going to say, all right, she can believe that if she wants. It doesn't really matter to me. I know what I think about myself. I trust my own values and my own self-awareness. I'm not going to care that much what other people think. This is how you stay on course. This is how you stay true to yourself. So I want to try something with you right now. I want you to repeat after me. I am a sexist.
I am a sexist.
I am a misogynist.
I am a misogynist.
How did you go? Did you experience a little bit of fear saying those words out loud? If you did, pay attention, because it's that fear that's going to hold you back. It's that fear that can be used against you. Remember, there's somebody somewhere who thinks that you're a sexist. Accept it. Embrace it. If you do that, when that scenario arrives in the future, when you're talking to a woman about male-female dynamics and you're asking some tough questions or talking about some taboo topics, and then she's like, I can't believe you're such a sexist, that's okay. You're prepared for it. Sure, I'm a sexist. Now, let's continue this conversation. But of course, it's very easy to say, don't be scared of being labeled a sexist or a misogynist. What if fears of those labels are actually very real for you? How do you actually overcome that? What does that journey look like? How do you stop caring what other people think? I give a full personal guide on how to make that journey to get to that place in the complete extended version of this video. That's available on my Patreon. What you see here on YouTube, these are just the shortened, abridged versions of my videos. The full versions are available on Patreon.
That's some damn good chow. Very solid advice from Alex. Like, if you guys feel you guys are in this boat where you're having issues trying to accept this, you should check out his channel and check out his Patreon and watch his videos. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of people selling courses, especially in this space. Alex's courses, or B1, I actually do somewhat recommend. I've done one or two of his courses before, and they're solid. They're worth the money and effort to kind of learn some of these things for yourselves. So please subscribe down below. I really appreciate it, and I'll catch you guys next time. Ciao.